Yo, what's up? Yeah, good, bro. What are you up to? Oh, yeah, no worries, got kids and shit, bro. I'm gonna just stream. Chick, chick, chick. Yo, you hear me all good? Okay. I can hear, I can hear you. I just have to get you into the stream. Hold on. Figure this one out. Last night's. This is where it could get a little bit tricky, but microphone array.
Hey. Yo, I got you, man, loud and clear. I don't think you were hearing me. Is right because I've got you, so it's all good.
Can you hear that?
Doesn't matter, man. Like, what am I going to hear? I'm going to hear the sounds of it. There's not going to be any audio coming from push to talk or anything like
Cool. So welcome along, Greg, to the second redo stream of SuperCars NZ race. What do you reckon?
treat to be a guest commentator on a race that you actually raced in, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
You can commentate your own race while you're racing.
There'll be many, many superlatives broken out, no doubt.
No doubt. So we're just following Brodie Scott around the track as they warm up for the race coming up. So this is just pre-warm up to the race.
The fantastic livery right there. Yep, coming in hot. Don't watch too closely. There'll be a lot of hanging the rear end out on that one, I can tell you that for sure. So Road America, awesome track in Plymouth, Wisconsin in the United States. Definitely one of the highlights of the series. It is a fantastic track. Lots of flowing corners, lots of tight corners, hell on your tyres if you don't play it careful. And the first couple of corners are always an absolute nightmare. when you go roaring in there with 30 other supercars around you.
Yeah.
Many a door handle banged.
Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome stuff. We did a stream last night, and unfortunately, it didn't come live, and we weren't aware of it at the time because we were just trying to get the server going. But the boys raced, and here we are again. I'm with Greg Scully. He's in the race, car 17, and we'll catch him in the race later on. But up the front, we have Darren Lobb leading the pack on pole position. In first place, James Anderson in second, Jamie Stolvard in third, Matt Stevens fourth, Mike Robinson in fifth, Daniel Hedderscheid in sixth, Dion de Graaf seventh, William Reinsberg in eighth, Michael Ward in ninth, 10 Brody Scott. We have an action pack championship race tonight, round 6 of SDI Supercars NZ. We're about to go live, and these guys are off.
I'll tell you what, having 30 cars when you're sitting in the race seat, tearing down that first straight at full noise is pretty intimidating, but a hell of a good time.
They come up to the first corner. Down there. A whole pack of 30 cars roaring around the corners.
Side.
They make their way as Darren Lobb breaks away from the pack. Matt Stevens behind James Anderson following closely. There's going to be some action later on. We can just
this is your first heavy braking zone here. You can see some cars jettisoning themselves off. When you head into there with cold tyres, mate, you've got your heart in your mouth. When you hit that brake pedal, you're just hoping that the thing will pull up.
Yeah, so Ricky Riot going off. Let's just have a quick look at the replay. Try to pop back. Ricky getting shunted. Going for a long trip. See there, he's just falling off the brake line across on the grass, clipping Lance Childs.
You're an absolute passenger at that point. Once you get onto that grass, there's no stopping. You're just hoping you don't collect anyone on the way through.
Unfortunate for him there. But Darren Lobb continues on the race.
Pulled out a handy little gap. Early doors.
Very early lead to the race. Unfortunately, I'm unable to display all the pretty tiny details. They only work when it's live, unfortunately. You just have to put up with it. We've got Darren Lobb up the front. Stevens. James Anderson.
They're coming through into the final corner, and you've got to get this one right as you prepare for that straight, because it will cost you the whole way up the straight, which is slightly uphill. 6th gear when you get to the top, and you've got it absolutely pinned until you're about 150, 180 metres out. It's a great battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Oh mate, he's hanging in there by the skin of his teeth. Car's looking a little bit stiff in the rear. away with this at this point. Yeah, the cars behind him have fallen well out of slipstream, which is tough. With the long straight coming up, they're just going to fall further and further back, which is a real challenge. Once you get back on here, you're talking hundreds heading through corners trying to make up that gap, and when he's extending like he is at the moment, that is a tough ask.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough for second and third. Getting up in front of Darren Lobb at the moment. We may have to check his car afterwards just to make sure he hasn't got any extra power in there.
I think that's that's an absolute compliment to some of these guys that we see up the front of the grid. I mean, for us battling mid-packers, we're absolutely we've got everything hanging out, trying to get around there and race trim in 2-minute 9s. And I can tell you, well, it's pretty disheartening when you feel like you're going absolutely gangbusters and you see 207s and even 206s pop up for some of these front guys. There are some aliens up there that really know how to get the absolute most out of these cars. You can see the rear of that car squirming around as he's trying to get the accelerator down as fast as he can as well. You cannot afford to light the tyres up on here. You've got some long sweeping corners they're going to be coming up to one shortly that they just cook the tyres. It's a great cutback. Just dropped them behind. Smart racing. Oh no! Oh, he's going all sorts of motocross there. That is fantastic. Way to cool your tyres though. Oh, there's a big accident in behind. Mitch Sparrow, it looked like, just lost control of the car. There he is parked. He's got to try and find a gap.
Quick replay. Let's see what went on there.
Oh, it could have been contact here. He's a long way up the inside.
Slow it right down. So Mitch Sparrow on the inside.
Ward giving him plenty of racing room.
Oh,
just a little touch on the way
I
out.
think Mitch Sparrow just coming maybe a bit too wide. Maybe he thought he was in front.
That's big damage on that car too. Yep, just a little rub on the way out of the corners, just enough to unsettle that car, and it's just shotgunned it straight into the wall on the left-hand side. It's just haunting. Henderson just haunting in the mirrors there. Car's looking straight. Yep, car's looking straight. That's the most important part. There's some very second-hand looking Fords and Holdens out there. high-speed nature of this track as well. If you can just tuck yourself up under that wing, there's actually no harm in sitting there. I mean, obviously Darren's just driven away from the rest of these guys, but this tight pack, if they can just tuck themselves up under that wing, then it gives them an opportunity to save a bit of fuel, which definitely comes into play later in the race. Obviously, the less fuel you've got to take on, and the less time you're sitting stationary in the pits, and you've got an opportunity to hop, skip, and jump over your competitor and make your way up the road, leaving them while they've still got the old nozzle in the tank. Overcooked that, outbraked himself. He's kept his foot hard into it. Cars starting to move around a lot more on the way out of corners. It's just as those tyres heat up. It's a hot track. You're looking at 40, 41 degrees track temp last night in this race, and at that temperature, you don't have to sort of pinch those tyres too much or spin them too much on the way to the corner for them to really heat up and become just like grease. They it makes for a very tough night. For anyone who's not tried this, sit in one of these rigs for an hour and pedal one of these things around this track. My goodness, you are an absolute sweaty mess by the end of it. It is quite the workout. He's on a mission to get back up to this leading pack. So is this guy. Day out on the briny, mate. I've got fish in hand if that photo was panned out any further. I love my fishing. Out every chance I get. But this sim racing makes for a fantastic distraction when the Wellington, the northerly is blowing strong and you just cannot get out there. Oh, I'm doing my best, trust me. It is hard work hanging onto the back of some of these guys, I can tell you. You feel like you're making, a 10th here and a 10th there, but it only takes one mistake in one corner. You drop a tyre off into the grass, or just accelerate slightly too quickly, and the thing just picks up some wheel spin, and then all of a sudden you're 2-3 tenths back from where you started, which is just you're seesawing the whole way around this track. It's a high-speed track too. I tell you what these top guys are really good at doing, and that's not driving in their mirrors. It's a lesson I'm slowly but surely learning, and it's easy when you're caught up in the heat of the battle here to spend a lot of time looking in your mirrors trying to work out what the guy behind you is doing in an attempt to try and defend, but the reality is you're going to end up making more mistakes and give them an opportunity to get past you that much quicker and that much easier. So these guys are absolutely eyes front, focused on using every millimetre of road and getting the maximum amount of drive out of the corners to be able to just edge away and just keep that gap.
So Tony Walker in 10th, we've got Xavier Simmons 9th, Michael Ward currently in 8th, Dion DeGraff 7th, chasing down Daniel Hederscheid in 6th, James Anderson in 5th place, in front of him Mike Robertson, Jamie Stolford, Matt Stevens, and Darren
sideways.
Lobb. You can see Darren coming round towards lap traffic already.
Yeah.
Ricky moves out of the way, lets Darren through nice and clean.
What a gentleman. Yeah, absolutely. These guys are just such consistent performers. It's fantastic to see them just going hammer and tongs week in, week out. You can see if you're looking close at the drivers, you can see them seesawing on that wheel on the way through those corners, just to try and use every millimetre of track and just try and keep the thing as straight as possible. As soon as you start turning a wheel in these cars under accelerator or brake, they're going to break away on you real fast.
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge here. They come to this big, long, sweeping right-hander. It's a bit of a sort of a double apex. You just want to push that throttle down, but the corner dictates.
Just a slight tap on the brake there as you head into the kink on your way down to Canada Corner.
Yeah,
you're absolutely
quite a few
flat.
drivers tonight finding themselves wide on that corner onto the grass.
It's easy to do.
It's reasonably forgiving though. If you do find yourself a bit wide, there is a fair chance to get back on track. We saw James Anderson earlier.
Great car control. Matt just lining up that straight just to try and get everything. He'll take every bit of tow he can get out of Ricky on his way past. Jamie eyeing him up from behind. He's got him hot in the sides. You're heavy braking here from 6th gear down to 3rd. Keeping it in close, using some of the apron and then drifting it right out. Short shift to 4th. And then absolutely pinning it up into 5th, back down to 3rd for this right-hander. Feathering the gas, trying to get it out without using too much curb, because you've got a long run down to a tight left-hander. Yeah, we're right along with Mike. Yeah. So he's going to brake here, hard down into 2nd gear, cut the apex, drift out wide, try not to use too much of that apron because it unsettles the car, you get a bit of wheel spin. Up into 3rd, you go over a slight rise which unsettles the car further, down to 2nd, and then you're up to 3rd, into 4th, off the gas just to float it in, 5th gear, and then hard on the brakes for another tight left-hander. This one, if you drift out too far, you're into the grass and that will spin the car around real fast. You're into the carousel, 3rd gear, 4th gear on your way out of the carousel, you're just holding and holding. It feels like you're going on forever. And then you're accelerating hard out of that. You head down to a right-hand bend. This is the bend you're talking about before. You can use a little bit of grass on the outside, but if you get too greedy, it becomes greasy pretty quick. Head back through towards Canada, hard on the brakes, into 2nd gear. He'll use the apron out to the left-hand side. Up into 3rd, into 4th. You're off the accelerator for the change of direction. It just puts the weight back over the nose. And then accelerating before a hard right-hander back down to 2nd gear, possibly 3rd. And then off up the straight you go. You're trying to get every last rev out of that car without hitting the limiter to make every millimetre you can on the way up that straight.
James Anderson not too far off Mike there. Maybe catching a little bit of slip just near the end. Not close enough though. But let's just see how he progresses on this coming lap. Does seem to be closing the gap on Mike. This is for
Definitely.
podium.
He's slowly but surely wheeling him in. James is rapid around here as well. He obviously had that excursion earlier, but he's got his head down and just giving it everything he's got to get up onto the back of the bike in front of him. Cars are looking stable still.
Jamie Stolford not too far off Matt Stevens here. Plenty of drivers giving that rear view mirror a fill up. There's nothing like a bit of pressure and add a little bit of heat to the body like in the sim than a car and taking up your rear vision space.
Mate, I'm getting a beat on just watching this, I tell you. These guys are absolutely on the limit. Those cars sound fantastic, right? They're using every last millimetre of road to straighten up those corners as much as they possibly can to get that power down nice and early.
So just popping back to 20th, we've got Nathan Clyde. Up in front of him is Cam James. Nick Bakey now in 18th.
Go off.
Oh.
That was that corner we were talking about. You get too greedy on the grass on the left-hand side and it's going to jettison you straight out into that wall. Saw a great example of it there.
Simon Hederscheid up in 17th. Wayne Biljon 16th. William Reinsberg in 15th. Mitchell Sparrow 14th place. Bit behind Blake Greenhold. Our resident Greg Kelly trying his hardest. Might see some action up in the top 10. We'll have to wait and see. Peter Brown 11th and Tony Walker up in 10th.
Tell you one of the things I love about this. Yeah, one of the things I love about this racing, Dana, is even sitting back in 15th, 20th, 25th place, these guys, these are aliens up the front that are just putting in consistent 207s and 206s to drive away with this thing. You're sitting back doing 209s, 208s, and I tell you, the racing is still just as hot. The guys that are lapping at the same pace around you, you are right in the thick of it.
Yeah, well, just to give you an idea of the pace that's going on, Darren Lobb's last lap was a 2:08.28. Matt Stevens was a 2:09.03.
Yeah.
A bit slower than Jamie Stolford, 2:08.71. Mike Robinson, 2:08.85. 75 by James, 76 Daniel Hederscheid, a 9.5 by Dion DeGraaf. But Darren Lobb's best time so far is a 2:07.12. The next best time is a 2:08.01.
These guys will be starting to think about their pit strategy now as well. Do you take the early stop and hope for the undercut opportunity against your competitor, or do you try and hold out as long as possible and get as much as you can, trying to hang in there on those old tyres and just hope that the lap traffic is kind to you on the way through?
A few of the guys up in podium position, finding a bit of clear air. Darren Lobb well in front of Matt Stevens, 6 seconds in fact. Jamie Stolford not too far off, only a second off Matt's pace. Mike Robertson and James Anderson. James
he's closed right up on the back of Mike there. Yeah, he's got a good drive out of that corner.
Mike moves over.
Mike getting a bit squirrely.
Maybe makes a cover action.
Oh, you're brave going around the outside there. He's just tucked in behind. He's thought better of it. That's smart driving.
I think we'll see a bit of action here, but James just backing away from that manoeuvre. But still, he's cutting that corner just that little bit finer. You can see that closeness. He's able to close in on the back of Mike.
It's just unsettling him, just tucking the nose up on the inside every chance he gets. But these guys know what they're doing. They're giving each other plenty of racing room. Right out using every millimetre of track, trying to get maximum terminal velocity heading down to Canada Corner. and then hard on the brakes. Tell you what, mate, we need to try and get some heart rate monitors on some of these guys. It is fantastic. It's great stuff.
Michael Ward pulling away from Dion de Graaf there. I think Dion just making a little bit of a mistake.
I heard Dion during the race talking about the fact that his tyres were giving him a bit of grief, so he might have gone a bit hard a bit early. And once those tyres heat up, it's very difficult to cool them back down again, which makes it pretty hard to try and stick to the back of the guy in front of you.
I definitely agree. You get yourself into some sticky, interesting pun, sticky situations which cause a bit of slip, bit of extra slip, and you just have to sort of pull back and just relax and just let those tyres recover.
Which is against every fibre of your being when you're out there racing as hard as you can, right?
Oh, yeah.
These guys are driving at 11 tenths. They are going absolutely gangbusters.
See Nick Mitchell about to be passed by Matt Stevens and Jamie Stolberg. And once they get a bit close, Nick's going to move out of the way and let them through.
A few metal scars on the front right of that car.
Maybe Matt Stevens might be able to get a little bit of extra help down the straight from Nick.
We'll see him move over to the right here, I would have thought. Matt's giving him the flashing lights. He wants by now. Jamie is lurking up behind him. He's not going to get what he wants though. You can see that gap between Matt and Jamie just close right up. Doesn't take much. Matt's not happy about it.
No, oh look, you can see there. Nick finally moves out of the way. A little bit late, but Matt's still able to cover enough to keep Jamie.
Guys got through safely, that's the main thing. And all of a sudden, we have got an absolute red hot battle for second. Jamie pulling over to the left-hand side. Yep. Oh, he's got him under brakes. Will he get it stopped? Yep. His exit will be compromised though as he heads down into turn 2.
Massive cover there by Matt. He knows Jamie will be able to slipstream up behind him and get some extra pace. So he looks to cover to the left, Jamie to the right. Covering that inside line.
These guys are on the ragged edge. Those brakes will be chirping the whole way into that corner.
Look how close they are. Inches off the back bumper, Jamie finds himself behind Matt Stevens.
The whole time these guys are battling as well, it's giving James Anderson a chance to be able to peel back a bit of that gap that he lost earlier back onto the back of them. So he'll be looking to get past Nick Mitchell as fast as possible and join this fight. Pulling a slight gap on him there, that'll ease his heart rate a fraction, but not for long as they head down to Canada Corner and the hard under brakes again.
James Anderson past Mike Robertson and looking for a way past Nick, flashing those lights.
Nick's gone wide. That's let them both through safely. They'll be pleased about that. Mike's not giving up. He's like a dog with a bone here. He wants back into this fight.
We've got 2 battles going on. And James
It's James.
Under the pit.
Yep, he's peeled off.
That's James in the pit lane already. Dion de Graaf also in. hard
Oh,
braking into
crikey.
that section.
He's all crossed up trying to get that stop before the yellow cones. Your pit lane limiter will be squealing at him on the way through.
Darren Lobb continuing nearly 10-second lead over second place, Matt.
Mate, we're just about forgotten about him. He's gone. He's just driven away up the road there in an absolute masterclass. He's just got to hold this thing together.
Yeah, no, just at the moment, just basically schooling everybody. Consistent. I mean, he must be.
You can see he's got that car on rails. He is using every millimetre of track.
I mean,
he's leaving nothing out there.
1.5 seconds faster last lap. Incredible.
And the thing is, with these guys battling for position and behind him, you can see it there.
Yeah,
they're blocking and holding each other up. They're compromising their lines, which is just giving him just free rein just to drive away. It's just costing them precious tenths here and there, and they all add up. Like you say, 1.5 seconds a lap. Good night, nurse. So this is a battle for the minor placings here.
Darren Lobb's pretty much going to leave the guys behind to have the battle, and give himself some free air and free rein. Take
a little bit sideways heading in there.
So SDI Supercars NZ round 6. We're halfway through round 6 race. Tonight's, or this week's sponsor, DSA. That is our resident Wayne Law.
Jamie peeling off into the pits there.
Few needs of New Zealand people that want some plans drawn up. Maybe got some building alterations or want to build a house. Wayne is the man. Check out DSA. You'll get fantastic service and a top-notch personality to boot. So now we've got a few gaps as the guys come into pit. Jamie Stolford up into pit lane, up on the jacks. Hopefully a bit cleaner than previous week. Do you see that, Greg?
It was a tough. What happened in the end? Did he take on 110 litres by accident, or did he overshoot his pit box?
Actually, I'm not too sure what the technical reason was at the end of the day.
Both easy to do, but ultimately it cost him the race.
It was huge. Yeah.
And this pit lane just stretches on forever as well. So Matt Stevens, who's out on his own at the moment, out in second place, he'll just be focusing. He'll have his crew chief in his ear just telling him apexes and exits. He'll be focused on just trying to get as good a laps in as he can on those old tyres. Because when these guys come out on fresh, although they'll be cold, they'll be gripped up pretty quick. And that gives them an opportunity to go for that undercut.
So James Anderson here making a great pit stop, a 24.18 second pit stop. Jamie Stolford with nearly a 28 second pit stop, so 4 seconds slower. So Jamie finds himself now behind James Anderson. So James, bam, and he's in front of Jamie. Just like that, just from the pit stop.
So we were talking earlier about being able to conserve fuel when you get that chance, and those are those precious seconds. At the end of the day, if you can save a few litres of fuel, I think the flow rate on these is about 2.5 litres a second. You save 2.5 litres, that's a difference of position. So while he was tucked up under that bumper, letting the car in front of him make a hole in the air for him just to cruise on through, that's essentially given him that opportunity to sneak past.
So you can see Matt Stevens pulls into pit lane, and as the camera just catches up to James Anderson somewhere in the forest.
It's just the Wisconsin scenery, mate. She's beautiful out there.
Here he comes, popping out. Comes through the last few corners. Comes on to the start-finish straight.
Exit.
Matt Stevens sits in the pits.
So James is going to get him here.
He's going to get out. It doesn't look like it. He's back onto the wheels. James Anderson coming down the straight.
There he
James
is.
Anderson makes the pass and finds himself virtually in second. So
That's a great strategic move.
Fantastic move there.
Yeah.
Mike Robertson yet to pit, and also Darren Lobb. So Mike
Matt will be
Robertson
wondering
will
what's
shift
gone
back.
on here. He's come out and he's thinking, who is this guy come flying past me? So he'll have the eyes on now. These guys, there's not much separating them. And if you check those lap times as we pick up the second, third and fourth lap on these fresh tyres, these guys will be absolutely flying. The track will be rubbered up and they'll be giving it everything.
So James Anderson finds himself in a comfortable position. Not too comfortable, but after that great pit stop and manoeuvre away from Matt and Jamie, he's looking for a podium finish. Darren Lobb still yet to pit. I've noticed that, I think, previous rounds, Darren's never too much of a rush to get into pit lane. Uses all that fuel up. Sort of an interesting sort of balance as you go on the race. Your fuel tank will empty, so it creates a lighter vehicle, but of course your tyres are wearing, so there's this sort of like, you're kind of creating a faster car by losing fuel, but as your tyres wear, they become a bit slipperier, so there's sort of this balance.
The thing with Darren, he hasn't had to battle. He's been out in front the whole race. He's been able to drive his own race and just pick his lines and really look after those tyres. He's not having to make moves around the outside. He's not having to brake unnecessarily late. So he's just maximising his lap times here within the ability of those tyres. So he's just cruising. His tyres will be fine. He's just thinking about when's the best time. Where ideally you'd love a spotter here to be able to pick your gap as far as being able to get out and not have to deal with too much lap traffic, so that your first couple of laps again you can just focus on getting back into a rhythm. But he's just driving away with this one.
We've got Tony Walker here, Mitchell Sparrow and Peter Brown all lined up.
That's the SuperCars version of a trolley train there, with that mug keeping them all held up in a line behind him. Tony going for the move down the inside. He's just poking his nose and just having a wee sniff.
I think he might smell some fear.
He's probably smelling more than that at this point, mate, I can tell you.
Greg, oh,
There's contact.
maybe some contact there. Tony goes past.
So I'm just getting hip and shouldered out of the way there as these two guys go flying past.
Maybe the Viagra wearing off.
Pop a couple. No, we'll get to it.
So Matt Stevens getting a bit close here to James Anderson. Matt would be quite keen to take back second. Jamie Stolberg, lap vehicle behind him. McDavid. Let's just pop back. We've got Nick Bakey, 18th position. Car fully intact. Doing well.
Circulating nicely, yeah.
Keeping consistent. Wayne Van Biljon in 17th. Simon Hedderscheid, 16th. William Reinsberg, 15th. Blake Greenholden, 14th.
Get sideways there, Blake.
Peter Brown. Greg Scully in 12th.
So late breakers coming through here. There's a few scars on the side of that Viagra car.
Yeah, earlier contact there as he was shoveled out of the way. Blake being challenged by Weinsberg. Up in front, Mitchell Sparrow follows closely Tony Walker. Mitchell
Battle
Sparrow,
pack
one
in
of our
behind.
young drivers in the series.
Dion circulating up inside the top 10. Good to see. That car looks fantastic. Speed Nation getting good raps at the moment as well. I've heard a few of the guys talking about the fact that they just seem to get such rapid service. So it's great to have businesses like that involved in our league. I've obviously got an intimate knowledge of the sort of gear that we're using. So if it's the sort of thing that you're keen on, then that's a great place to start your search.
Matt Stevens here, hunting down James Anderson, both pitted. So it's just a race to the finish now.
Matt's not going away either. He's got the eyes on giving it everything.
So Matt catching up here. See those cars just on the verge of grip and sliding.
What a great battle. Tell you what, round 6 is delivering. It has been action aplenty. We've had good passes out on the track. We've had strategic passes in the pits. And it's not finished yet. Matt going really wide just to try and straighten that corner up, get on the power as fast as he can. And the hope that he can sneak it up the inside. Oh, he took a look. Hurt him a little bit. He's just dropped back a couple of tenths.
Jamie Stolbert in the background. He'd be quite happy if Matt and James have a bit of a hustle. He'd be able to gain some ground on them.
He'll be seeing these two guys weaving across the track with James defending and Matt attacking as hard as he can. He'll be salivating. He'll be thinking, keep on going, boys. This is just playing into my hands. I'm keen to get up there and fight with you.
So Darren Lobb finished his pit stop, the 22nd pit stop. So James Anderson out of the drivers making a fantastic fast pit stop. Mike Robinson with a 23.46 pit stop. One of the fastest. Mitchell
He looks
Sparrow.
like he's gaining a bit of ground up on Jamie there as well. He's not done with yet.
Through just for a couple of minutes here, we might get a bit of a flutter and it will just resort itself out. But Matt Stevens here chases down James Anderson for second. SDI SuperCars NZ round 6. It's going to heat up as we close down closer to the end of the race. I'm not too sure exactly how many laps.
Be far off. There'll be less than half a dozen to go.
Streaming last night, we just had a bit of a flutter, but it fixes itself shortly, so just bear with us.
Looks like he's closing the gap up on James there a wee bit as well. He's hanging in there tough. Jamie and Mike seem to be getting a bit closer together as well. This is fantastic close racing to get nearly, you're 50 odd minutes into this race and you've virtually got second, third, fourth and fifth all on the same screen. It just goes to show you just how tight these guys are. They are within hundreds of seconds of each other in lap times.
James Anderson, Matt Stevens, Jamie Stolbert and Mike Robinson.
That Dan Hedershaw coming behind them.
William Reinsberg, not too far off Greg Scully there.
He's got past Peter Brown there. Pete's obviously made a mistake at some point. Williams managed to make his way past. Pete right on the back of him as well, though. That is that's intense.
Jamie Stolbert finds himself 100 down Mike Robertson the last few laps.
He's closing that gap for sure.
A bit of a slipstream, he thinks about it. Doesn't quite have the pace on him. Must make a clean pass.
Jamie a little bit wide there, that'll compromise him. It's easy to get a bit of wheel spin if you use too much of that verge. He's escaped from it though, he's done alright.
So while this challenge is going on, Matt looks for a different line, just trying to gain an advantage here on James.
Not done with yet, is he? He is hanging in there. Like they're slowly pulling away from Jamie and Mike there. So obviously with Matt dropping back a little bit, the single file, there's a little less fighting going on, and they've been able to put a little bit of a gap on the guys behind them. That'll please Matt, no doubt, because the last thing he wants when he's attacking James is to have to think about the guys that are coming up behind him. He's got a mirror full of Jamie, then he's got twice as much to think about as he's starting to think about where he's going to make his move.
Just a reminder, we do have a leader and he's all up in clear air. It's Darren Lobb, 12 seconds in front of James Anderson, looking pretty comfortable up there.
That's an unbelievable performance from Darren. Everyone else will be sitting back thinking, how do I bridge that gap before round 7?
Yep, other drivers not even in the shot. But Matt Stevens definitely in the shot of James Anderson.
These guys have been going at it hard for the last 4 or 5 laps now. You've got to feel like something's going to give. Matt taking a dive up the inside.
Oh,
he's a long way down. Will he get it stopped?
He has the brake
They both
hard.
run wide. He's got the inside line.
Oh,
and he's giving him a
contact.
touch.
James finds himself onto the grass, taps the wall,
James
trying to get
was
back
shaking
onto the track.
his head.
Jamie and Mike pass him. Just one mistake and he finds himself now in 5th. Matt Stevens takes hold of 2nd.
James will be bluing inside that car. And look how much Jamie's caught up onto the back of Matt through that series of corners.
So Matt might have got rid of James, but now he's got Jamie and Mike.
Interesting to see whether the stewards have anything to say about that. He's got to put that out of his mind as fast as he can, Matt, because these other guys are hunting him down and they're coming up rapid quick.
Just hopping over some of the race control. There was a drive-through penalty for car 115. Contact on lap 1. It might have been Ricky. Lance, maybe. And then there's a drive-through for car 94. Contact with car 53. Lap 1 instances there. few penalties handed out.
Jamie closing right up onto Matt. Matt defending for all he's worth. Jamie taking the outside line. Who's bravest under brakes?
Super close. Mike's just hanging in there waiting for these guys. Looking for his gap. Back marker moves well out of the way. Don't want to be part of that.
Aaron Goodrick maybe in the background there. Has had a bit of a blue. Matt defending to the left-hand side.
Outside, Matt Stevens covering again. Seen some great cover action by Matt.
They get it stopped. This is an action replay of the last time we were down at this corner, isn't it? Oh, gee whiz.
Mike looks on the inside.
Oh, he's got the lights. The lights are going hard. He's blowing up in the car.
James Anderson not too far off now. He'd be keen to get back up to second. The challenge is on.
Oh, wow.
Second, third, fourth, and fifth.
You throw a blanket over them. This is great racing.
Some fantastic racing on the SDI SuperCars NZ round 6. Championship race. Championship on the line. All places count. Matt tonight making some huge defensive moves. If he didn't, he probably wouldn't be in the position that he is. So they're paying off.
Parking that car on the inside of the corner, making the guys go the long way around the outside, and just absolutely sitting on that apex, giving them no chance into those tight left-handers through that infield complex.
Slipstream from each other. What will happen on the next corner?
James is thinking, I'm back in with a show here. All is not lost.
James has a look.
He's got the eyes on.
Not yet.
Dan Heddershire pulling up behind them now as well. He's thinking, I've had a quiet race to this point. He's just been driving on his own. Then all of a sudden he's come across World War III here.
See all the cars there looking for some clear air.
Under brakes. Jamie thought about chucking it up the inside again. Didn't work last time. It's not going to work this time, Jamie. Just be patient, mate. Be patient. Through the carousel. Corner that just keeps... Oh, not that one. Sorry. I'm a bit ahead of myself. They come up to it now. It's a corner that just keeps on giving. It just goes and goes and goes. Pluck fourth gear and drive out of there, use every bit of curb, try and set themselves up for this tight right-hander. You just float it in and just hope that it sticks. Oh gosh, they're right on the edge. He'll be absolutely sweating up. He'll be sweating up a storm. One little mistake at this, you've got to feel like this is just going to cut loose.
Is Matt going to be able to defend from all this pressure behind him? One little mistake from him and he'll find himself 5th or 6th spot.
He's doing a great job up the front there to defend. He's not being overly aggressive. You see him move across to the right. He's allowed to do that. You just can't move back under brakes. He's making Jamie go the long way around every chance he gets. He knows that there's another right-hander coming up. He'll park it on the inside right. Jamie's having to use a lot of road to try and get around him, and it is slippery stuff. Where he's going to have his challenges is here. He's compromised himself coming out of this corner, which has given Jamie a run on him, but if he can just hang in there under brakes, See the
inside
car
line, there's
squirming around.
contact.
There's a little bit of contact. Oh, gosh.
Mike's quite keen to get up on the inside of that business.
It's going to erupt. Oh, my gosh.
James Anderson all over Mike Robertson. Jamie all over Matt Stevens.
You don't know where to look. It is just action aplenty.
I don't know whether to...
Two abreast. 2 rows, 2 abreast. Going.
Jamie
There you go.
takes
James has
the
made it up
lead
the inside
over
of Mike. Yep.
Gets the inside line there.
So he's going to throw his name in the hat here. He wants a place on that podium. Darren Lobb's driven off up the road. He's on a Sunday drive out in Wisconsin. He's just enjoying himself. Meanwhile, these guys in the back, far out, they are just giving it everything they've got. Mike's not done with yet. He's thinking about putting another move to get that position back off James. James covers the inside
Matt
nicely.
Stevens wise.
Jamie's through. James is now thinking, how can he capitalise on this as well? Oh, Matt's defended lap after lap after lap. It just takes that one mistake, and all of a sudden, all that hard work's undone. But again, he's got to put that out of his mind. He's now got James hot on his heels. He goes from hero to zero here, potentially.
James Anderson hot. Matt thinking about covering, can't, just doesn't quite. James up with the inside line. Hard on
James
the brakes though.
Pinching a brake. Oh, gosh.
Matt Stevens sideways out of the corner. These guys are sweating.
Oh, massively. Man, I'm sweating just watching it, Dana.
Daniel Hedderscheid in the background. Mike Robertson, James Anderson, Matt Stevens, Jamie Stolberg all on the line. Anything could happen. Matt covers, James on the outside. Mike's not too sure.
Just compromised there. He's seen Daniel. Daniel's licking his chops. Oh, he nearly got through there. I tell you what, one thing I love about these streams, Dana, is that you guys do a fantastic job of skipping back through the field to see where people are. But how the heck do you take your eyes out of this? This battle has just gone lap after lap after lap.
Oh,
There's not an inch given here. These guys are just absolutely on the ragged edge, fighting for all they're worth to get on the podium here.
Jamie Stolberg running ahead 1.5 seconds over Matt Stevens, so he's getting some clear air. This might be his place, as long as he doesn't make too many mistakes here. Matt Stevens holds on to the podium third for now.
It was clear Jamie had the pace. He was putting all sorts of moves on Matt. Matt was doing a fantastic job of defending him. But now that he's been unleashed, he's driving up the road, leaving these guys to battle it out for third. James has got to be stoked if he can be able to, if he can get a move done here after some of the challenges that he's had in recent laps, to be able to get back up into the fray. You've got to feel for Matt though, man. He is driving the wheels off that thing and making it as wide as he possibly can to try and hold on to position.
This is for podium. James pretty keen.
Oh, I thought he was going to send it there. He probably thought he was too, to be fair. Just a little wiggle from Matt. It's compromised him on the way out of that corner. And you can see James, he's got to go the long way round, but he's going to give it all he's got.
Got the run on him. Man, just the inside line. Both brake together.
And the brakes.
Matt looks...
Gosh.
Sorry, James.
He's gone for the crisscross.
Matt,
geez.
sideways.
Yeah.
Bumps James, both able to keep it. They could have quite easily found themselves spinning.
Mike was in with a shot there. There's nothing in it. It's just a racing incident. As soon as you light up those rear wheels, that car's going to get sideways on you real fast.
Just like that. You blink and you could miss it.
Yeah. there's not a lot of racing left to happen in this, well, not a lot of laps left to happen in this race, but looks like there's still plenty of racing to be had, that's for sure. James on maximum attack, Matt defending for all he's worth.
Matt covers
Just
the inside line again.
hanging in there.
James will look for a good line through.
If he takes the
When
outside
James
here,
is
it's
advancing,
brave.
It's a hard place to pass through that section.
Yeah, if you can
Off
get
on
it
the
out there and
grass.
if you get out there and make it stick, it sets you up for this right-hander. But again, both guys are going to be compromised coming onto the straight. If that happens, Mike's all of a sudden back into the fight. And header shot right up his tailpipe, giving him a hurry up down the straight.
In the meantime, Darren Lobb is 22 seconds ahead. James Anderson
James,
on the outside.
round the outside, into the grass.
Generally not the way that you pass, but look at that. Daniel Hedderscheid up beside Mike Robertson.
Just about gets a 2 for 1 there, I tell you. No, he's thought better of it and dropped back into it. That's smart racing, far out. He's seen these guys going at it hammer and tongs. It'd be a brave man to chuck it up the inside there.
Such a tricky braking section through here as the track drops down, pops back up over the hill.
And there's a little hump on the top of this hill that just unsettles the car just as you pluck it into second to try and get it slowed up for that left-hander. It's so easy to lose control there. Matt looks like he's got a little bit of breathing room. I mean, we're talking 2/10, but comparatively over the last few laps, James has been right underneath his wing, so he's just got a little bit of space here so he can drive his natural racing line, and that's going to be the fastest way around this track, so he'll have his head down. He's just giving it all it's worth right now.
Just while we've got a bit of a breather there with those guys, I'm just going to chuck back to 20. I've got Aaron Goodrick in 20th, Cam James in 19th, Nick Bakey holding on to 18th.
Yeah, they're going at it.
Reinsberg in 17th, Simon Hedderscheid 16th, brilliant. Wayne Buljon 15th, Blake Renault 14th, Peter Brown in 13th. Greg, you're doing well in 12th.
The old campaigner's still hanging in there.
Tony Walker in 11th and Mitchell Sparrow in 10th. So there we
Jamie
go.
flashing the
Darren Lobb
lights,
actually
that's it.
takes the win, and Jamie Stolford takes second. Matt Stevens
What a great drive.
in third. James Anderson fourth. Mike Robinson fifth. Daniel Hedderscheid in sixth. What a race there, Greg. What action.
Hats off to Darren Lobb. I mean, he has made the rest of the field look very second-rate here, just driving away with this. But for me, the drivers of the round, James Anderson never gave up. He got stuck out wide in the grass a couple of times and had to recover, and he did a great job of getting himself back in this race. But Matt Stevens, he just defended for lap after lap after lap there. The pressure was on. He didn't crack. He cracked and let Jamie through, but to be fair, we saw Jamie just drive away from him after that. So Jamie clearly had the pace. But Matt Stevens, what a fantastic third place for him.
Yeah, it's just some beautiful racing. If every race was like that, you wouldn't leave the screen.
So I tell you what, I got to say, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world. That's an absolute peach of a race to commentate. I mean,
Yeah,
these guys are just, they're alien fast. That is just such great driving as well. Amazing car control.
And I really appreciate you getting on board at the last moment there, Greg. This has been a fantastic race. Been awesome having you commentate with me.
That's my pleasure.
Fantastic job, mate. Look forward to next week's race. It will truly be live. So tonight, STI Supercars NZ round 6. Darren Lobb takes the win of round 6. Jamie Stolford holds on to second. Matt Stevens holds on to third. And the rest is history. So thanks, Greg. I'll catch you online in our weekly night races. Thanks to DSA for our weekly sponsor. And thanks to everybody that's watching. I hope you enjoyed.
A Supercars NZ, why would you want to be anywhere else? Fantastic stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.